Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the WrestleMania 36 review. And this is night one of WrestleMania 36, and night two is going to be taking place tomorrow night. And WrestleMania, of course, was from the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, and the WrestleMania build for this year has been fucking terrible. We all know that because of everything that's going on right now, of course, with the coronavirus. But tonight we saw 5 of the matches that were on the WrestleMania card, and of course, it's going to be continuing tomorrow with night 2. And night 1 of WrestleMania tonight, I thought it was god-awful. This was terrible tonight. Aside from 3 matches that I liked that were decent and 1 was good, the rest were garbage. 3 matches ain't gonna, be like, oh, this was a good show from beginning to end. It wasn't. But let's get on with the WrestleMania review for night 1 for WrestleMania 36. And we're gonna start off with the pre-show, or the kickoff match that was on the other kickoff show, which I didn't get to watch, but it was Drew Gulak versus Cesaro. Cesaro ended up winning. Cesaro ended up putting Gulak for a airplane spin, according to the post. According to the post right here, Cesaro ended up dropping Gulak. Went for the cover. Cesaro ended up winning. And so Cesaro wins the match. And then WrestleMania for night 1 opened up with Stephanie McMahon, the WWE Chief Brand Officer, Stephanie McMahon. So Stephanie ended up talking about how this WrestleMania will be different due to the trying times that we're living through. So of course they couldn't mention, they couldn't mention coronavirus. They couldn't mention the name of it, or COVID-19. So Stephanie went on and says, tonight they hope to give fans a diversion during the hard times, and to deliver a sense of hope and determination and perseverance to entertain us and our family. Well, the only entertainment we got was only 3 matches tonight. That was the entertainment that we got, which I will get to explaining those 3 matches that I thought, were decent and good. So Stephanie ended up saying, on behalf of everyone at WWE, especially the WWE superstars, Stephanie ended up welcoming everyone to WrestleMania 36. So we had that from Stephanie. And then we had a video package, which this video package I really liked. I really loved, where it showed singers performing America the Beautiful over the years of WrestleMania. So we saw like Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, Boyz II Men, Willie Nelson. We also saw the Boys Choir of Harlem, which they performed America the Beautiful at WrestleMania 20. So we saw that, which I really liked. And then we had a video package. It was a pirate-themed opening package for the show for WrestleMania. And it was narrated by sort of like a Jack Sparrow character. So the video package for WrestleMania with the Jack Sparrow-like character, it was pretty funny. There was some comedy parts in the package. And then we went into the Performance Center. And then cuts into the host of WrestleMania, Rob Gronkowski. So he ended up welcoming us, talked about why WWE ended up picking him to be the host. I don't know why they picked Gronkowski to be the host. He was just there to talk, and he wasn't shown for the rest of the night. For night one of this. He ended up saying that he knows how to start a party and end it 2 days later. He tells everyone to pop open a beverage, forget about everything else in the world, and enjoy WrestleMania. And then he brings his buddy over, Mojo Rawley, and they get hyped up for the show tonight. I'm like, they're getting hyped up for the show tonight. What was there to get you hyped up here? Besides 3 matches. I know we're possibly going to see Gronk tomorrow night. And then he's going to be shown, and then he's going to disappear, and he's not even going to be shown for the rest of the night, tomorrow night, just like tonight. What was the point in getting Gronkowski to host? Terrible. So then we had the first match. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus Asuka and Kairi Sane, where the women's tag team titles were on the line. On commentary, I forgot to mention on commentary, you had Michael Cole and WWE Hall of Famer John Bradshaw Layfield, JBL. It was cool to see JBL here commentating again. So he's like, "Oh yeah, we're excited, Michael." His whole commentary. With JBL when he used to commentate with Michael Cole, he'd be like, "Michael." So the match started. Asuka and Alexa Bliss start off. Kairi Sane ended up coming in, starts loading at Alexa Bliss. Kairi Sane ends up playing some games with Alexa, but Alexa ended up slapping Kairi Sane back. Bliss ended up mocking Kairi Sane and took control of the match. Asuka ended up yelling at Bliss, and Alexa Bliss was taunting at Asuka. Bliss ended up dropping on Kairi Sane, ends up tagging in Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross comes in, delivers a basement drop kick to Kairi Sane, and towards the end of the match, we had Alexa Bliss comes in, goes to the top, hits Twisted Bliss on Kairi Sane for the pin. And there you go. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross win the match and are the new Women's Tag Team Champions. The match itself was terrible. I know there were some people who enjoyed this match. I'm like, what did you enjoy in this match? Name me one good, decent part of this match. I couldn't find any. Aside from Alexa and Nikki winning the titles. And you know what? Alexa and Nikki, they had to win the titles because Asuka and Kairi Sane did nothing with the titles. Absolutely nothing. Titles weren't even being defended. So they put it on Alexa and Nikki because there's nobody else on the women's division to challenge them. No one. So Alexa and Nikki win the match. They're the new women's tag team champions. That was basically that, but match was terrible. Then we saw Kayla Braxton. She was interviewing the Intercontinental Champion, Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn was backstage with Cesaro and Nakamura. Sami Zayn ended up telling Kayla Braxton that he is confident about beating Daniel Bryan tonight. He says he will do what few superstars have done. Walk in and out of WrestleMania with the Intercontinental title. So that was basically the interview with Sami Zayn. And then we went to Elias versus Baron Corbin. This match was god awful. Absolutely fucking terrible. So Corbin ended up coming out. He was on the mic. He ended up saying that he's here. But Elias is nowhere to be found. So he ends up showing us why. A replay was shown when he knocked Elias from the perch a few weeks ago on Smackdown. So we saw that footage again. Then Corbin ended up saying that it felt good when he did that to Elias. He says, and so will his second win at WrestleMania. So Corbin then demanded the referee count the forfeit and raise his arm in victory. And before the count can begin, before the referee could count, we hear the strumming of a guitar. And of course, Elias comes walking down the ramp with his guitar. Corbin was not happy. Corbin ended up getting out of the ring, charges up the ramp to Elias. Corbin tries to go for a clothesline to Elias. Elias ended up ducking. And Elias then takes his guitar and hits it to Corbin's back. The guitar shatters, which I fucking laughed at. Like how the way that guitar shattered. It was fucking hilarious, in my opinion. So Elias ended up working on Corbin, sending Corbin into the ring post. Elias then entered the ring with Corbin. Corbin ends up getting up. Bell rings. Elias ends up running in the corner, delivers a big right to Corbin. Elias kept control of the match. He ended up dropping Corbin for a pin. Corbin kicked out. And Elias ended up keeping Corbin down. Delivered a swinging neck breaker. Went for the cover. Corbin kicked out at 2. And towards the end of the match, referee ended up catching Corbin using his feet on the ropes because Corbin was pinning Elias, so Corbin ended up putting his feet on the ropes, and the referee ended up seeing it. Corbin was arguing with the referee, so Elias then took advantage, rolled up Corbin. There you go. Elias ended up winning the match, but who gave a shit? Who gave a shit about this match? And you know me, I can't stand both of these guys. absolutely fucking terrible match. And fucking boring. Moving on. We had Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. And before the match got underway, we saw Becky arrive in her 18-wheeler truck, pulls up to the Performance Center. Becky Lynch ends up popping out of the truck, walks into the PC. Shayna Baszler then makes her way to the ring. Becky Lynch then made her way to the ring after that. So they both were in the ring. Bell ends up ringing. Both Baszler and Becky were striking each other. Shayna tried to go for the Karafuda clutch early, but Becky ended up rolling out to the floor. And Shayna was beating Becky around ringside. And for this match, we had Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton on commentary. Shayna goes to powerbomb Becky on the floor. Becky ended up sending Baszler flying, with the flying scissors. Referee ends up counting. Becky ended up sending Shayna face first into the announce table and ended up sending Shayna into the steel steps, into the ring steps. Becky Lynch then ended up rolling Shayna back into the ring. Went to the top. Becky ended up delivering a drop kick to Shayna. And at the end of the match, Shayna ends up going for the Karafuda clutch again on Becky. Becky ends up going down in the Karafuda clutch, flips back Shayna, and turns it into a 3 count. So there you go. Becky Lynch ended up winning the match, retaining the Raw Women's Championship. But the match itself, very meh match. I'm like, I said that Shayna was possibly going to take the Raw Women's Championship from Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. Fortunately, that did not happen. But it looks like Vince doesn't really like Shayna from here, because if he did, this would have been Shayna's night to win the title. Obviously, did not happen. So, Becky, like I said, wins, retains the title. And we saw Shayna, she was surprised about Becky pinning her. I mean, Shayna should have won it, in my opinion. This could have been her WrestleMania moment. But no, clearly proves Vince McMahon doesn't really care for Shayna Baszler. And then we had Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. And we saw, I forgot to mention, I know I said earlier we didn't see Mojo Rawley and Robert Gronkowski for the rest of the night. We actually did see them return here. So we saw the both of them getting hyped up on the perch. Okay. Did not care. So the match got underway with Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn. And Sami was shown doing a lot of stalling in the first few minutes of this match. Daniel Bryan ended up trying to get his hands on Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn ended up kept on rolling out of the ring. Cesaro and Nakamura were there. They were trying to interfere in the match. Drew Gulak was also out there along with, when Daniel Bryan came out. Gulak ends up taking out Cesaro and Nakamura. Sami ends up trying to run up on Drew Gulak. Daniel Bryan ends up telling Gulak to allow Sami Zayn to walk out for a count out. And Sami ends up saying, oh, that was a smart decision. So Sami goes to walk up the ramp. Daniel Bryan ends up taking him down. Daniel Bryan then brought Sami back to the ring. And Sami ends up pleading with Daniel Bryan, begging Daniel Bryan to take it easy on him. So Daniel Bryan ends up mounting Sami Zayn, beats down on him. Daniel Bryan ends up working on Sami outside of the ring. Brought Sami back in, delivers the missile drop kick from the top to Sami Zayn. Daniel Bryan ends up stopping Sami Zayn from escaping the ring again. Daniel Bryan was delivering slaps to Sami Zayn, trash talking Sami Zayn in the corner. And Daniel Bryan ended up delivering a running drop kick to Sami. But in the end, we had Nakamura and Cesaro. They end up beating down on Drew Gulak. Daniel Bryan then takes the both of them out, takes out Nakamura and Cesaro. Daniel Bryan comes back in. He ends up going to the top. Comes off the top, but Sami Zayn ends up delivering a haluva kick to Daniel Bryan. There you go. Sami Zayn went for the pin, and he wins the match, retains the Intercontinental Championship. But overall, meh match, in my opinion. Then we had the Triple Threat Ladder match for the Smackdown Tag Team titles. It was Kofi Kingston versus Jimmy Uso versus John Morrison. Of course, Big E and Jey Uso. The Miz wasn't there because, of course, The Miz ended up getting sick. I heard he had a 100-degree fever. They ended up sending him home, and now he's quarantined in his house. So it's just a 1 versus 1 versus 1 for each of the teams. And this was the first best match of the night here, the ladder match. And to me, the ladder match here, it needed the crowd. A ladder match doesn't work without a crowd, because when there's a crowd there, because in the other ladder matches over the years, you had the crowd there. Whenever a superstar climbs up the ladder, the crowd gets you hyped, thinking that it's going to be that certain superstar's moment. Climb the ladder, retrieve the title, or in fact, if you want to mention Money in the Bank, whenever a certain superstar climbs up the ladder, retrieves the briefcase if it's a Money in the Bank match. So the match ended up starting. Kofi, Jimmy, and John Morrison, they all go at it. They all go to the floor. They bring ladders in, and they start climbing up the ladders for the titles. All three guys end up meeting at the top. They start trading in shots. Jimmy Uso ends up stopping Kofi from grabbing the title. And John Morrison ends up kicking Jimmy Uso's ladder over, which end up having Jimmy hurt his knee. And Kofi and John Morrison were trading shots. Morrison ends up going down. Kofi ends up delivering a crossbody from the ladder to Jimmy Uso. And in the end of the match, you had the three guys, Kofi, Morrison, and Jimmy Uso, at the top of the ladder. They all three grab the titles. They unclip the title holder, and all three guys are struggling for possession for the title, which, this was stupid how the way it was done. So Morrison ends up getting knocked, off the ladder by a headbutt. Kofi and Jimmy Uso are still, up on top of the ladder, and Morrison actually fell off the ladder with the belts in his hand. And Morrison was shown hitting hard on the ladder bridge that was set up. And because of that, Morrison ended up retaining the title for him and The Miz. So The Miz and John Morrison retain the titles. I thought it was stupid how they unclipped the title holder, and they're still struggling for it. I thought that was stupid, but all in all, the match itself, it was the first best match of the night. I really enjoyed this match. And then we saw post-match, Kofi and Jimmy Uso were arguing, as they're holding the title holder, and it was shown that Jimmy Uso and Kofi weren't happy about that. And then we had Kevin Owens versus the Monday Night Messiah himself, Seth Rollins. And this was the second best match of the night. These guys gave it all they got here. Bell ended up ringing. Seth Rollins was playing mind games with Kevin Owens. Both of them go at it. They go to the floor. Kevin Owens end up unloading on Seth Rollins, sending Seth Rollins into the barricade. Seth Rollins end up running back into the ring. Kevin Owens ends up dodging a stomp from Seth Rollins. Owens end up fighting Seth into the corner, beats him down. Kevin Owens was talking trash and taunting Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins ended up kicking Kevin Owens, but Kevin Owens ended up dropping Seth dropping Seth, and he ended up hitting a senton to Seth Rollins. But in the end, Kevin Owens ended up winning the match by disqualification because Seth Rollins charged in at Kevin Owens. Owens catched Seth Rollins with a pop-up powerbomb, went for the pin. Seth Rollins kicked out at 2. Rollins went to the floor to escape. Kevin Owens stopped him. And right here was where the DQ happened, because Seth Rollins ended up grabbing the bell, ended up grabbing the timekeeper's bell, and he ends up hitting Kevin Owens with it. And so because of that, the referee ended up calling for the bell. So Kevin Owens won the match by disqualification. So after that, Kevin Owens music ends up hitting. Seth Rollins limps away. He was looking at Kevin Owens and laughing. So Kevin Owens gets to his feet, took the mic. Kevin Owens rolled into the ring. He yelled at Seth Rollins to stop. Kevin Owens ended up saying that Seth Rollins doesn't get to end it this way. Kevin Owens then called Seth Rollins a little bitch, and he called him back to the ring to finish the match once and for all, and that their match is now a no disqualification match, no rules. So Seth Rollins was heard asking Kevin Owens, when is he going to learn? So Seth Rollins ended up coming back to the ring. The bell rang, the match got underway, no disqualification match. Seth Rollins delivered a running knee to Kevin Owens. Seth Rollins ended up tossing Kevin Owens to the floor. Launched Kevin Owens against the barricade. Seth Rollins ended up taking a chair and continues taunting at Kevin Owens, striking Kevin Owens in the back with the chair. And Kevin Owens was down near the announce table. Kevin Owens was still calling Seth Rollins a bitch. And Seth Rollins was arguing with the referee. And the referee was telling Seth Rollins, oh, Seth, finish it in the ring. And Rollins said back to the referee that he can do whatever he wants. So Seth Rollins was shown tearing apart the announce table. Kevin Owens then grabs the timekeeper bell and hits Seth Rollins with it. Kevin Owens then unloaded another shot with the ring bell at Seth Rollins. And then we saw Kevin Owens, he ended up climbing up to the top of the WrestleMania sign. And Kevin Owens was on top of the sign. He delivered a senton from the sign and put Seth Rollins through the announce table. So Kevin Owens ended up grabbing Seth Rollins. He was in the middle of the ring. And he dropped Seth Rollins with the stunner. There you go. Kevin Owens went for the pin and wins the match. So Kevin Owens ended up winning the match. Post-match, we saw Kevin Owens end up getting back to his feet. He was hobbling over to the ropes to look down at Seth Rollins, who was laid out on the floor. So that was basically that. And then went back and we saw Rob Gronkowski and Mojo Rawley. So they get interrupted by R-Truth, who, of course, is the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 champion. So R-Truth said his life has been ruined by the title. And he just needs a place to hide out. So R-Truth ended up asking Mojo and Gronkowski if he can hide out, up there. So Truth gets dropped by Gronkowski and Mojo, and Rob Gronkowski ended up going for the pin. Mojo ends up robbing him, and he ends up taking the pin to win the title. So Mojo won the title. Gronkowski looked at him shocked. I didn't give a shit. Did not fucking care. Moving on. Charlie Caruso was backstage. She got interrupted by Paul Heyman, which Paul Heyman was hyping up Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre, which is going to be happening tomorrow night. And then we had the Universal Championship match. Braun Strowman, who was replacing Roman Reigns, versus Goldberg. This match was fucking awful. This match was god awful. So the bell rang. Strowman and Goldberg stared each other down. Goldberg ends up striking first, ends up delivering a kick to Strowman. Strowman dodges a move in the corner. Strowman went for the power slam. Goldberg slides out and nails a spear. Strowman gets right up, eats another spear from Goldberg, and then ate another spear from Goldberg. 3 spears that Goldberg hit to take down Strowman. Goldberg went for the pin, got a 2 count. He continued to dominate. Strowman ended up countering a jackhammer slam from Goldberg, and from there Strowman ended up delivering 3 power slams. So Strowman ends up yelling at Goldberg to get up, and then Strowman ended up nailing a 4th power slam. There you go, went for the pin, and just like that, Strowman wins the Universal Championship. There you go. I'm like, you're telling me that Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, lost to Goldberg at Super Showdown. Goldberg was the Universal Champion. And now you put him with Strowman, and now Strowman is the Universal Champion. That proves that the loss that Bray Wyatt took at Super Showdown was worthless, completely worthless. They took the Universal Championship off of Bray Wyatt, put on Goldberg just to put it on Strowman. I tell you, is that a good idea? Was that a good idea to do? No. So now we're possibly going to be getting, I can see this happening, maybe Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt for the Universal Championship. So maybe the Universal Championship will go back on Bray Wyatt. Who knows? Or maybe Bray Wyatt will be getting buried once again by Strowman. So there you go. Braun Strowman is your new Universal Champion. Match was god-awful. And then we get to the main event, which the main event was the Boneyard Match. AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. This was the main event for Night One here for WrestleMania. This match was amazing. This was a really good match. Like the way how this match was filmed. It had a cinematic feel. And I really enjoyed it. This was very well done. This was possibly the best thing that WWE has done this year so far. So, we're in a cemetery. We hear The Undertaker's music in the background. A hearse ends up pulling up to the gates. Drives in. We see 2 hooded figures open the back door of the hearse. A coffin then slides out, and we think The Undertaker's in there. And no, it wasn't. AJ Styles ends up popping out of the coffin and laughs. So he's saying he's ready for the dead man. He's like, "Where are you?" And then we see a shot of The Undertaker riding his motorcycle on the road. Metallica music is playing. Taker ends up driving into the cemetery. Had the American Badass look on him, which brought back memories for me, because the American Badass Undertaker, was my childhood. That's how I remember the Undertaker before he went back to the Dead Man gimmick. So AJ was ready to fight. Taker ends up stepping out of the shadows into the light. Styles ended up saying he didn't think the Undertaker would show up. He says he wonders if Michelle McCool knows that he's out this late. He ended up saying that he dug Taker's grave for him. And Undertaker ends up saying that Styles dug his own grave. So they keep on trash talking to each other. Taker ends up approaching Styles. Styles ends up grabbing a brick. Taker ends up dropping Styles talks trash, beating him around. Taker ends up bringing Styles over and calls him by his first name, Alan. And Styles was trying to get away. Taker ended up sending Styles into the coffin door, ended up slamming Styles into it a few times. And then Taker ends up grabbing a piece of steel off the ground. Went to use on Styles. Styles ended up moving. And we see the Undertaker's arm ends up going through the hearse door. So the glass shatters. Taker was shown bleeding. He wasn't happy about it. So Taker ends up continuing to beat Styles around. Taker ends up mounting Styles on top of the car, unloads with rights to Styles, with punches to Styles. And Taker was warning Styles to never talk about Michelle McCool again. So Styles ends up falling off the car. Styles turns it around. Taker manhandles Styles some more. And then Taker knocks Styles into an empty grave. And then we see Gallows and Anderson. They call the Undertaker out and says they're just getting started. So then we see Taker was surrounded by his druids. Taker ends up brawling, gets beat up. Taker ends up making a comeback. And Styles works over the Undertaker. He yells that the Undertaker made him break his finger. Styles ends up yelling at the Undertaker just to retire and end all this. And Styles was talking more trash to Undertaker. Styles ended up mounting Taker with a big right hand. And Styles ends up breaking the shovel over Taker's back, sending Taker into the grave. And Taker was shown on his back, laid out in the grave. Styles ends up pouring a handful of dirt, and we just hear him go, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Styles was shown climbing on top of the tractor, cranks it up, and then we see, out of nowhere, the Undertaker appears next to Styles on the tractor, which that was really awesome. That was really cool. And a light was shining behind him. Thought that was a pretty awesome shot of the Undertaker, next to Styles. So Taker then unloaded on Styles. Styles had a shocked look on his face. Taker beat Styles off of the tractor. And Styles ended up climbing up on a barn. Taker was shown making the flames rise for a few seconds. Taker ended up fighting off all three of the OC, ended up fighting off Styles, Gallows, and Anderson. Taker ends up scooping up Carl Anderson, delivers a tombstone to Carl Anderson on top of the roof of the barn. Styles then ended up fighting Taker, and Taker got the upper hand. Taker delivered a chokeslam from the roof to Styles through a box on the ground. Styles went through a box that was on the ground. And towards the end of the match, we saw Taker stares down at Styles, kicks Styles into the hole with a big boot. Styles goes into the grave with the big boot. Taker ended up staring down at Styles. He then walked over to the tractor, and he ends up starting the tractor up, dumps the load of dirt onto Styles in the hole. Taker ends up turning off the tractor. We hear his bell toll. Taker hops off the tractor. We heard the bell tolls again. Then we saw Taker remove a cover off of the tombstone, and it had Styles' name on it. It had the year that he was born in 1977. It said AJ Styles, 1977 to 2020. And it had a rest in peace message on it. So because of that, The Undertaker ends up winning the Boneyard Match. And Taker was shown putting his bandana back on. Gets on his motorcycle. Styles' fist was shown punching through the dirt. Taker ends up starting his bike back up. Raised his fist in the air. He made the flames jump around. The flames jump around the barn. And what was really awesome was it showed his logo in purple. The Undertaker's logo in purple appears on the front of the barn, which was really cool, was really awesome. And then we had Metallica's song, Now That We're Dead, starts back up. And then Taker ended up riding out of the cemetery. And that was how Night One of WrestleMania went off the air. Aside from the Boneyard Match, Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins, and the ladder match, Night One of WrestleMania in general, like I said, was god-awful. It was terrible. So those are the only 3 matches that were decent. And the Boneyard match between Styles and The Undertaker was really good. Hopefully we see something like this tomorrow with the Firefly Funhouse match between John Cena and Bray Wyatt. Hopefully it will be as good as the Boneyard match that we saw tonight. But only one can hope. We got, see what will happen with the Firefly Funhouse match tomorrow night on night 2 of WrestleMania. But anyways, that's it for my review of night 1 of WrestleMania 36. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And I will see you all back here tomorrow night with night 2 of WrestleMania 36. So until then, see you all tomorrow night.